Hi guys and welcome back. So today task is to look into navigation. There is this component which is included in the Jetpack components, which is named as Jetpack Navigation. And before that, I would like to explain a little bit about how fragments work in Android. So let's just look into fragments. So first of all, if you go to the Google Docs and go to the fragments overview, you can see a fragment represents a reusable portion of the app's UI. So what does it mean? It means that let's say you have a activity over it, which you are actually drawing some sort of UI. So a fragment basically helps you to have a separate components, and that component have a totally separate lifecycle, have a total separate handling of the events. So that's how fragments are. If I have to give it a name, you can also call it a micro activity. So basically it's just like a lighter activity that helps you handle a UI specific portion totally separately from the activity. And an activity can have multiple fragments drawn over it, plus a fragment cannot exist on its own. So a fragment will always require to be drawn over an activity. So these are a little bit detail about what a fragment is. I'll explain it more in the video as well. After that, what important thing that I want to discuss before jumping into the code is the life cycle. So basically, as you remember, we also already discussed the life cycle of an activity as well. A fragment also have a life cycle. So if you come over here and you look into this life cycle image, you can see that it has plenty of methods. In the activity, we don't have all these, but for a fragment, you can see that we have on create view, on view created, and you can view state restored, start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on saved instance, destroy view, and on destroy. Since I mentioned that this is majorly related to the UI, so basically whenever a fragment is created, you have to create its view as well. We will be looking into that in real action, but just to let you know that we have all these functions, that all these callbacks that appears as different states of fragment are being called. So let's just get started without any wasting any time. So I'll jump into my Android Studio, create a new project, and I'll create an empty project so that we can start from a really scratch. The purpose of this app will be creating a trivia app. So basically there will be some screen that will show some sort of menu, and then there will be another screen where a user can basically take a quiz, and once the quiz is completed, user will be taken to the result fragment or a result screen where user will see how he did in the quiz. So I'm gonna name it Android Trivia, and I'll finish it. This will take a while to build, and as you see, now we have an activity over here along with the XML file. So the first thing that we want to do over here is to show you how navigations can be created and how do we use them. So before even going into that, what I'm gonna say Jetpack Navigation. So all you can do is look for this, and on the developer in the documentation, you can see that you have all these dependencies. So right now we're working with Kotlin. So what I'm gonna do is then that I'll copy the Kotlin and Java dependency, let's say, and come over here. Since this is building, so I'll just switch to project, app, and build.gradle. So this is the build.gradle file that contains the dependencies, and over here I'm gonna add the navigation dependencies. So since I'm not using Java, so I'll take that out, and this is how this will be shown. right? So meanwhile it's building, I'll explain a little bit about navigation component, what a navigation is. Like previously, handling of fragment were like a manual process. So let's say if you want to move to another fragment, another screen from an activity, it was a difficult task to do. But now, since the navigation is being created, this it has become really easy to manage the different flows from one screen to another. So this navigation component basically helps you interact with the app, and it helps you take out different kind of screens with very less handling. Now you see what this thing helps is, let's say you have multiple screen, so all you can do is that you can drag and drop these different screen on the navigation UI, and then you can just link them, create those actions. So what an action is, that let's say if you see this arrow that is going from one point to another, this is an action. It has an ID which will be used by the navigation component to execute the navigation. Same goes for those other actions as well. So let's say if you have screen number 1, screen number 2, now you have an action which is being defined from screen number 1 to screen number 2, and then this action will be called by navigation controller to load, and all you have to do is just a single liner mentioning that you want to navigate to this specific screen. So this is how navigation helps you. If we are going to explain the previous methodology, there were getting the fragment manager out of the activity, then creating a transaction, and then pushing the fragment into the transaction, and then committing it. So it was like a 4 to 5 liner, and then handling the backstacks. So let's say every time you create a fragment, do you want to add it to the stack so that it can be popped up again, or do you want to clear that up? All these kind of stuff required a lot of handling. You need to add tags before, but now all you need to do is that some properties, and then it can help you in a very easier way. So this is one of the things that we'll be using in this specific project. Now if you can see, the build is done. It says that it cannot resolve. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just take this out, this version, and I'll add it to this specific section, so that right. So what I have done is this, take out that variable which was like us supporting a different way. So we created our build.gradle file, and the next thing will be to create different screens that can help us navigate. So I'll just jump back to the Android view. It's a little bit easier. Now once you do that, let the build completes. And once that is done, what we will be doing is we will be creating a graph. A graph is basically a navigation graph which will help defining all the UI screens and then linking them together, creating actions for those. So let's just wait for a while till the build is completed. It will just download the dependencies that we have added, and once that is done, you'll be good to go. Now inside this resource folder, you can see we have Gradle, layout, bitmap, values, and XML. Now we want to create a navigation. So what you need to do is just, first of all, what you need to do is right click on this resource folder, go to new, and then go to the Android resource file. Once you are here, you can name it anything that you want. I'm gonna say it's as navigation graph, and from over here, from the values, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on the navigation, so that it creates a specific package for that as well. So I'll create that, and you can see now we have a navigation folder, and inside the navigation folder we have this navigation graph. Now this is the view that basically appears when you open this XML file. Let's say if I close this, I have all these kind of different views, but when I open this navigation graph, you can see I have this new destinations, and then grouped into nested graph, and then home, start destination, then deep links, actions, and authoring. So these are different properties that are over here. Now what I need to do is that, let's say I want to start with a screen that shows some sort of buttons. Let's say a menu saying that you can start the quiz, or maybe you can see the rules or stuff. So a very simple screen. What I'm gonna do is that I'll create on this, since I don't have any other fragment right now, nothing. there is one way to create a fragment directly by clicking on this plus button, and it will help you create a fragment. And the other way is just right click over here and then come, let's say come over here, fragment, and then you can create a fragment like from over here. It's up to you how you want to do it. I'll create one with this way and then one with the other way as well. So let's say I'll click on this plus icon and then click on the create new destination. From over here I'll say a blank fragment, what I want, and I'll name it as a home menu fragment, or let's just call it a menu fragment. So once that is done, you see I got this thing over here inside this. Now what I want is that I want another screen that has let's say that shows some sort of rules to the user. So what I'm gonna do is I'll right click over here, and then this time I'll create a fragment this way by creating a blank fragment. I'm gonna name it rules fragment. So that's another thing, and you can see now we have a fragment over here. You see we have menu fragment, rules fragment, but this time if you come over here into the navigation, you don't see it. So if you want to display it, link it, that fragment, what you need to do is just click on this new destination, and now you see this fragment rules over here. Just copy it and you can place it over here or wherever you want. So basically you have this all view to your own. Now the next thing what we want to do is that we want to link this fragment to this. So let's say I want to create an action so that from the activity from the fragment I can navigate to this specific section. So what I need to do for that is that you can see this circular icon over here. Just drag it and place it on whatever fragment you wanna create an action for. So let's say I'm gonna click over here and this arrow will be created, and now this section will be displayed over here. This is the ID and this is the destination. So you can, if you like created an action, you can change it from here as well. There are some other properties that we will explain as we move forward with the specific sections, but right now these are the only thing that we want to discuss. Now you have a rules fragment, you have a menu fragment. What else we want to do is, let's say we want to create a game fragment, where basically a quiz fragment where we'll be showing the questions to the user, and we'll be expecting some answers from the user. So this is another thing. Now I also want to go from this section to this, so I'll create another action with the quiz, and the third and the last fragment that I want to create over here, it will be results fragment. So the third one will be the results fragment, and the results fragment will basically be showing the result to the user on how he did with the quiz, and this result is what I want to go when the user completes the quiz. So over here, let's say now this is how this is going to be in the app. Now I have a menu fragment, I have a quiz fragment, rules fragment, and results fragment. So now let's just get back to this section. Now you can see I have all these fragments over here that are being created. There is some unnecessary code right now that I believe I don't need, so I'm gonna take that off as well. But you can see that right now we have this. Okay. Now the next thing is that let's just take out all the unnecessary code from the fragment, and then I'll show you what's important that we want to implement from the parent and what's not important. Now you can see we have this onCreate method that takes some sort of arguments. We don't need those arguments for now, so I'm gonna take those off. Other than that, we have this onCreate function, which is really important and in a fragment. And why it's important? Because this is the place where we basically tell the fragment that what exactly UI you are supposed to handle. So that is why this onCreate view method is the method that you want to override every time you create a fragment with the layout file. Now another one is this quiz fragment. I'm gonna take the unnecessary stuff from this as well. We don't need the companion object. We will not be creating any sort of fragments over here. Same goes for this one, so I'll just take that off. This and this. Now this is the last one, and from over here I'm going to take that as well. Okay, we have an error over here. What kind of error is this? Okay, good. Now you can see that we have created all these stuff over here. Now what next? What next is that basically we want to link this navigation to our activity. If you remember, I told you guys that whenever you are trying to create a fragment, you need an activity as a base. So a fragment cannot be an independent solely, so it needs an activity on which it can draw itself. Without an activity, fragment cannot be created. So what we need to do is that we need to link these fragments to the activity. So for a navigation component, what you need to do is that you need to go to the activity main section, and from over here I'll just take out the text view that I had, and over here inside this so what we did is that we created a fragment container view, and inside the container view, this is an important thing because we want to specify that this is a navigation host fragment. So this is important, and then you can see that this is the place where I actually specify the navigation graph. This is the XML file that is coming from over here. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll build this and see if we have any issues. Okay, we have the emulator running, and now let's just run it. Okay, I see nothing. Let's just do one thing before. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna paint it to a color so that we know that if this thing is being displayed. Okay, so basically the mistake that we were doing is that this navigation graph, we were adding just the graph, and now when you do that, you can see that the fragment is being displayed. Okay, so once that is done, it was a silly mistake. Once that is done, you can see that your fragment is being linked to this, and now if you run it, you'll be able to see that this fragment runs on your screen, and this is the first fragment that we have. Now let's say we want to update this with some buttons, with some UI elements, and then once that a click on a specific thing, it should take us to that specific thing. Now go to this menu layout file. We have this text view. I'm gonna get rid of that. What else I want to do is that I'll create a linear layout, a vertical linear layout, and I'll place it over here inside this frame layout. First of all, let's just convert this frame layout to constraint layout as well, and now I'll take a linear layout. Vertical layout will be wrap content. What next I want to do is that, let's say I want to create two buttons inside this, and this, now first button will be BD start quiz, and refactor it, and the second one should be BD rules. So these are these two buttons over here, and then let's say I'll update the text as well for these. So I'll just change this text by searching this property. I'll name it start quiz, and this button should say rules. What I want to do is that I'll click on this button, and this button should take me to the another fragment with the game, and the rules one should take me to the rules. So what I'm gonna do is here I'll just color a little bit so that you know that what I'm talking about. Let's say come over here, and this fragment background should be changed to something like this. Let's say the rule should be white. Now we come over to this menu fragment, and now you know that we have two buttons. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll create a late init buttons, button start. It's going to be a button, and I'll leave it like that way, and the second one should be button rules. Okay, now we have these two buttons. Now we want to initialize it. That's an important thing. Now you can see that right now we don't have any view over here, and let's say if I try to find view by ID, I'll not be able to do that. So what you want to do is that there is this one more method which is being called when the view is created. So this is an overridden method on view created, and it helps you, it gives you the view. It mentioned that this view has been created and now you can do the UI related stuff over here. So what I'm going to do is that I inflate it over here. So I'll say button start is equals to, since you know that we don't have a find view by ID, what we need to do is that we'll be using the reference of this view object that it gives us. So for a fragment, we'll say view dot find view by ID, and then we'll be saying id dot r dot id dot bt start quiz. Same goes for the other. I'll just press command D. Button start should be button rules, and this ID should also be changed to but bt rules. Now we have this thing in place. What next we want to do is that when a user clicks on any specific button, we want to do some stuff related to that. So let's say button start dot set on click listener, and then over here we want to do the button, and then we have this button rules dot set on click listener. For a role click listener, we want to do some other stuff. Okay, now we have button in place. Buttons are linked to the UI, and now when a click appear, like when a click event is fired, what we want to do is that when a button start is clicked, we want to take the user to the home fragment, so game fragment or a quiz fragment, and when the rules button is clicked, we want to take the user to the rules. Now what we need to do is that we'll be saying that navigation dot find navigation controller, and then you can pass view to it, and then you need to go to navigate, and inside the navigate what you need to do is specify the ID of the action. So I'll say r dot id dot action menu fragment to quiz fragment. This is the one that we want to do, and I'll just copy the same function from here and I'll paste it over here, and from menu fragment to quiz fragment I'll update it to the rules fragment. Now what is this? If you click on this, it shows you that this is this link that you created. Same goes for this one. Now if I go to the navigation graph, I show you, let's say if I take this out, you see this is the action, this is the ID that we use for rules. This one is for the quiz, and from the main activity, from the menu fragment, these are the same. Now let's just try to run it and see if the navigation works. So I'll just run it on the emulator. You can see we have these two buttons in place now. Let's say if I click on start quiz, it takes me to the green fragment, which was the quiz fragment, and if I click on the rules, take me to the white. So this is a really simple way of navigating from one fragment to another. Now the next part is a quiz part, where basically what we'll be doing is that we'll be showing some sort of quiz to the user and handling the result for that. So the next thing we need to do is that we'll go to the quiz fragment, and inside the quiz fragment what's happening is that we have this right now, this text view. Okay, now what we want to do is that we want a section on top which will be okay, let's just do this. We want this text view over here. This text view is going to show you the TV count, so the count of the total question and how much you have attempted. So this, let's say it should be 1 by 10, for example. For now, definitely will get updated, but right now for a dummy text we'll be placing it like this. The second one is going to be a question, and this question is basically the text where the question will appear, and in the bottom section we want 4 options for that question. So let's say if a user select a specific one, we'll be displaying that, but for that I'm going to use a linear layout because I want to display all those buttons in a bottom in a vertical way. What I did is that I placed a linear layout. I'll just link it to the bottom, right, and left. Once that is done, I'll change the height to wrap content so that it display only it takes only the place up to the component that it have, and I'll place 4 buttons inside it. Okay, now I have these 4 buttons inside this linear layout. This text view is right now on the top, but I want to link it to this as well. And another important thing for this is should be 0dp plus 0dp, so that any size. So let's say if a text has a lot of text, it will just take the place all over. Um, One more thing related to the UI, if you want to do, is that you can update the text sizes and some colors related to that. So I'm going to change the text size to 2020, and maybe the text color I want is something, maybe what should be the case. Let's say if I try white, what happens? Yeah, I guess white looks fine on this. So we have this thing. I'll update the text color for this one as well. I'll make it a little bit, it looks really bad, so let's just make it white as well. So you have this thing. Now this thing will be a text question text, so I'll change it to TV question. Refactor, same goes for this button. Now this should be maybe BT option 1. Refactor, this is going to be BT option 2, and this is going to be BT option 3, and the last one is going to be BT option 4. So now we have this 4 button in place. We have a text view that says, and we have a TV count that will be showing the question. Now we want to go to the fragment section in the and handle it accordingly. Now let's say if we want to go to quiz fragment, we don't have anything. So what we need to do is that we need to define all the views that we have created. So we'll be doing that with a late init var, let's say TV count. We go from top, and it's going to be a text view. Okay, so I'll add it like this, and then same goes for the TV question. Then we have a BT option 1, and it's going to be a button. I'm going to take that off, and then what I'm going to do is like those 4. Okay, now 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we have these button in place, we have this, and now we want to initialize it. And what we need to do is that again we want to go to the on view created section, where basically the view is created and we can initialize our views. So what we want to do is that TV count is equals to view dot find view by id r dot id dot TV count. So this is the place. We'll be doing this for all these. I'll change it to TV question, then BT option 1, and then again BT option 2, BT option 3, and same is for BT option 4. Okay, so we have initialized the views, and once that is done, the next thing we want is that whenever a question is inside coming from somewhere, and that question should be shown to the user. So for that, what we want to do is that, let's say we want to have our quiz handler, a class that can basically help you handle all the stuff that is being happening for quiz. So let's say I'll create a Kotlin class, and I'll go to the object. So basically this object means that it will create a singleton. If I have to explain what a singleton is, that for now I will just give you that only one instance inside this whole scope will be created for this specific object. So let's say if you call it from different places, you will be getting all one memory instance, so that it will be a single in this whole scope. Okay, we will be explaining the singleton in the future videos as well, but for now just take it as this is a single element, object that will be created in this whole scope. Okay, so I'm gonna name it as quiz handler. Okay, now we have a quiz handler, and this class will basically help us get some questions and display it over there. So for a question, what one more thing I want to do is that I want to create a data class. A data class is basically for a question. So I'll name it a question. A data class is basically a normal class, but it helps you contain some sort of data. So let's say I have a question which should be a text, so it's going to be string. Then we have wall option 1, which is also a string. And what I'm gonna do is that I'll just make it this thing like that. Okay, so I'll name it option 2, 3, 4, and the last one should be answer. So answer. Okay, now we have a question. We have 4 options for that, and then we'll have an answer for that. So we created this object, and now what we are gonna do is for the singleton. From the singleton, we'll be handling the whole quiz internal mechanism, like the questions, getting the questions, updating the score of the user, getting the score of the user, and then all these kind of stuff. So first of all, what we need to do is that we want the list of questions when screen is created. So what I'm going to do is that I'll create a function and I'll name it get questions, and this will return, let's say, array list of question object, and like this. Okay, now I have prepared some questions for this, so I'll do, and I'll just copy these questions. We have these 6 questions, and these 6 questions I'll create, like place it over here. So how I'm going to say is that I'll be saying return array list of, and inside this array list I'll be creating all this. So if I have to like show you, so it's taking an ID as well. So right now we don't have an ID over this for this, so I'll just, so I take it off. Okay, now what I have done is that inside that we created a question object. This we added some string, then some options, and then this right answer for that. So we have all these in place. The question list is there, and this function will just return it. So an array list, it creates an array list of this 1 question, 2 question, and all these questions that we have created right now. Now once that is done, the next thing we want to do is that now we got these questions over here. Now what we want to do is that we will go into quiz section, and over here what we are going to do is that we'll do some more stuff. Let's say wall current question, and we'll name it, we'll assign it as 0. So right now it's just a 0, and what we will be doing is that, let's say a current question means that which question is going to be displayed. Okay, then we have a list. So let's say wall list of questions, and I'll name it, like call it the quiz handler dot get question. So this is basically, it will return all the quiz to me over here. Now the view, once the view is created, what I'm gonna do is that I'll create another function, function show display question. Let's say display question. So this display question means that this will be placing all the question text on the screen, and then we can use it. And how we are supposed to do is that I'll create a wall question equals to, sorry, I'll name it current question, and I'll say is that list of questions coming out of current question, and then I'll increment it. So let's say post increment, sorry, basically current question plus plus. Okay, so my bad. So it was a wall. I'm gonna say that you can post incremented. So what happens is that wall current questions list of questions, so it will be going into this specific list of questions, and then uh, it will take a specific index out of it. Let's say initially it will be 0, and it will return an index for 0 to this current question and increment it. So let's say for the next time, so that it doesn't it takes the index 1, 2, 3 and so on. So once we get the current question, we want to display it on the UI. So what we will be doing is that we'll say that TV questions dot text equals to current question dot question. So I'll just copy paste these, and then for like option 1, sorry, option 1, option 2, BT option 3, and then option 4. And then from over here, what I'm going to do is that I'll say that you can option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. So this thing is set, and what I want to do is that I'll say that display function should be called once the initialization is done. So let's say what will happen is that this function will be called when this UI are initialized. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to check if this basically takes the first question out of this list, in my case this one, and show it on the screen. So let's just run it and see if it shows us the result. So I'm gonna click on the start quiz, and now you can see we have this question, what is the record for red card, and then we have these options. Right now when I click on any of the option, nothing happens. So basically this is the another thing, this is the next thing that we want to do. We want to fix it. So let's just get back to the quiz fragment, and inside this quiz fragment you can see that right now we are not handling the click events for this. So what we want to do is that we will be implementing a on click listener for the view, and when you implemented a on click listener on a class level, it will ask you to implement the on click function inside your class. So what I did is that I implemented this on click function, and now for these all these button, option 1 dot set on click listener, and I'll pass this. So this is something what we did, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I've added the click listener for that, and then over here the next thing is that on click event I want to take the selected option, compare it with the real answer, and if that is the correct answer, what I'll do is that I'll add the value to the user result. So the first thing is that we want to compare results. Now right now I do have one text. It's if you see, I can what I can do is that now the thing is that we want to get this current question to top level, because for a current question we want this current question over here to compare the result with the selected button. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll make it over here, and I'll say late in it. So it means that it's going to be a late in it question, and it should be like this. And the next thing I'm gonna do is that I'll take it off from here. Late in it war current question. Okay, sorry. Let's just rename it to index so that we are clear about it. And this. Okay. Now you can see we got the current question. I basically took it to the class level, so I can use that over here as well. And the next thing is what we want to do is that there are multiple ways. I'll go with the easiest way right now to compare, and then we can use more feasible way as well. For right now, what I'm gonna do is that I'll say is that wall selected option equals to when v dot id, so it's this v dot id, and then I'm gonna say is that r dot id dot bt option 1. Okay, and so I'm gonna return current question dot option 1. So for this, it's gonna be this 2 3, and then there should be a else, and it should be current question dot option 4. Okay, so what I did is that I added option 2, option 3, and for this I'm gonna say option 2 and option 3. So I created a when object and assigned it to the selected option, which means that this will give me a specific option. And now over here, what I'm gonna say is that I'll check that if selected option dot equals is that the current questions dot answer. So if the answer of the current question is equals to the selected option, so whatever its selected option is, I'm gonna say a toast right now, or maybe let's just don't do this for now. I'll just increment the score. So we don't have a score integer. I'm gonna create a var score equals to 0. So I'll have a score now here, and then what I'm gonna do is that I'll score plus, add a score to it. Now I added to the score, and now what we want to do is that we want to display the another question. So I'll just call the display function again. If you remember previously, if it has 0, it will increment it, and now this time it will show the question number 1. And let's say if this works, and if this does, what we will be doing is that we'll be checking if all the answers are like properly taken out. Let's say I have this one, I click on this, question changed, options all changed. Then again you can see the options are changing, then 12, and then 3, 4, and then this is the last function. If I click on this, the app crashes. So what does this mean? So if I go to the logcat, here is this here are the logs that says that the index out of bound exception, which means that the app is trying to access index 6 while the size is 6. So it means that if the size is 6, the maximum index for that list should be 5. And why is that happening is that this thing over here, what is happening is that let's say for the last question, this list it incremented, and when it comes again, it doesn't have the like any more item in this list, but it's trying to access those items, which is basically throwing this out of bound exception. So what we need to do is that we need to check if the questions are finished and there are no more questions available, and so that time we will be doing is that we'll be going to the results. So what will happen is that what we want to do is that we will check that if if the list of question dot size, so what we gonna check is that the if current question index is greater than or equals to list of size, we want to go to we want to navigate to results, and we will be also not letting the other stuff happen. So I'm going to return it from here so that it breaks it from here. Now if I want to navigate, what I'm going to do is that again I'll be using navigation dot find navigation controller, and I'm going to pass, sorry, I'll just do it another way. So find navigation controller, this is the internal method of the fragment, and then I'm gonna go to navigate r.id, and now this time what I'm gonna do is that I want to go from quiz fragment to result fragment. Okay, and this is it right now. I'll just run it again and see if it does what we are trying to achieve. Is that I answer all the option, and once that is done, it took me to the this fragment, which is basically the result fragment. Okay, cool. Now inside the result fragment, we're not showing anything, but as per the total work that we have done right now, is that the app is working as expected. It is like showing all these questions, and once that is done, it is taking me to the result fragment. And now right now we don't have anything in the result fragment, so over here I'm gonna say that this should be converted again to constraint layout, easy to use. So I'll just use a constraint layout over here. The text view should be wrapped around, so it should be in the center, and I'm gonna name it TV result. Also I'll try to update the size for this, so it should be text size is going to be 34. I want to have very big results for that. So, and text is 0 right now, no result for now. And from here I'm gonna do is that I'll add a button in the bottom saying that you can go back. So let's say you wanna go to restart, or maybe go to home. Okay, so it will take me to the home, and I'm gonna change the IDs for these. So I'll say it's button go home, and for this one it's TV result. Okay, now go to the result section. Inside the result section, do the same on view created function, and now over here we want two things. One is the button. So I'm gonna say late init var bt go home, which is a button. And the next thing should be it should be TV result, and it should be a text view. Okay, so now you can see that we have these two things in place, and now what we want to do is that we want to display some sort of result over this. But right now we don't know the result because all the score is inside this. So now what we want to do is that we want to pass some value from this section to this section. Okay, so now doing like passing some value, there are two different ways. One is the normal way, and then there is a navigation argument, which is also a separate component. Right now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go with the traditional way, so that it's like I don't overhead all those stuff. So we'll be doing this normal easier way. We won't be adding any more dependency and stuff to just more complicated. Now over here, let's just get to this line where basically we are actually creating a navigation action. Now before like doing action, what we want to do is that we want to pass some values to another fragment as well. And for that, what we do is that we create a bundle. So normally whenever you are basically passing some data from one component to another component in Android, a bundle is used. Even if you are using an intent, which we will be using in our next video, we use bundles. So basically whenever you pass some sort of arguments from one fragment to another fragment, you use the help of bundle. And how do you do that is basically what I'm going to do is I'll create a bundle, and I'll say it equal to bundle. Now inside the bundle, I'll say put integer, and I'm gonna name a key. So I'll say that result is the key, and inside the result I'm gonna pass a score values to it. So what will happen is that this bundle will contain a key value. The key will be result, and the value will be the score of whatever the user had, and along with the action, I'm going to pass this bundle as well to the navigate function. So basically this navigate function will basically take the bundle also, and also the ID of the action. And now if you come over to this section and initialize these views, so let's say tv result dot equals to view dot find view by id r dot id dot tv results, and same is going to be go for the button as well, and where you go home dot set on click listener as well. Okay, now I want to populate this specific section. Right now there is nothing, so what I'm gonna do is that I'll say that tv result dot text is equals to, and now there is this property that says arguments, which is the bundle, and then I'm gonna say get integer, and inside the integer I'm gonna say the key that I have passed from here. So I'll just copy it and paste it over here like this, and yeah, so yes, so it will basically arguments is nullable, but since I'm passing it, so I know I'll be basically adding it that this is going to be added the alerted call. Okay, so basically it says that you can replace it with the required argument. So basically, since I know that I'm passing the argument, so this will be getting the bundle, and this is basically the normal way where basically we pass the key to the bundle, and we get the result out of that. So what it does is that it will take the result and then over here. And now from this section, what we want to do is that we want to take the user to the home, like the menu screen again from this result. So how we are supposed to do that, if you remember, let's just get back to the navigation section, and from over here this is the result, and then I'm going to drag this back to this one, and now this action, you can see that is this action is created. Go back to the fragment, and as usual what we need to do is that find navigation controller dot navigate, and this is going to be result fragment to menu fragment. Okay, now I guess all these things are in place. Now let's say let's try to run it and see if everything is working as expected. So we start a quiz, we answer some questions, and boom, we are over here on the home screen. And now so that's it for this video. I hope this might be a little bit confusing, but if you like practice it, you'll be able to understand more. This you can find this source code on the GitHub repository. I'll be adding it to the description, and you can enhance it. You can further add maybe categories to this, and then based on the category, different question coming from the question handler. So basically I would recommend to use the source code and enhance it, add some more fragments maybe, and then work with it, and I'll meet you in the next video with something else. So stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you around.